That happiness was never about your job or your degree or being in a relationship.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate you for doing varial kickflips. You have resurrected the varial kickflip. Thank you. Where are these stickers?
What's up, YouTube? It's your boy McFish, and I'm back again with another banger. Today we're going over boards and wheelbases and why there's such a thing called a board madness. Now, all boards usually start roughly around 31 to 32 inches for street decks, 33 inches for the whole length of the board, or 33 inches from tail to nose. This would be the nose, and this would be the tail. And then that determines the size of the board. So this would technically be kind of like a pool board instead of a street deck, but I like to skate on a street deck because I have big feet. Any pros that you know don't skate the same way. They don't just pick up a board and just go skating and doing rails and all their stuff.
Or do you ride it? What's your setup like?
I got an 8.3, 149s. I'm trying the indie mids right now.
Okay, how do you like them?
They're good.
Yeah?
Something about them being mids, they were a lot better newer. Normally trucks have to like break in and then that's when they're at their peak. Mm-hmm. But I think these ones were a lot better in the beginning, and like as the bushings got like harder and whatnot, they've like, I don't know, I liked them better when they were newer for some reason.
Most pros that you know have the board madness. They have to have the board set up a certain way in order to do their tricks the way they feel they're comfortable to do and sick to do, so they could be like, yay, I did it, and I did it on my special board.
828 is the name of the shape, but it's not like it's probably not exactly 828. They just like to differentiate the shapes at Deluxe.
Mm-hmm. Oh, so they differentiate. Okay, gotcha.
But like,
gotcha.
it might not be. It probably is exactly that, but they like to just like change it up a little bit so that you can see the number and know that it's not a different 825 and you get them mixed up or something like that.
So it's 828, so it probably is like 827 or 825.
Yeah, it's 825.
Pretty much.
And then 14.1 wheelbase.
Ooh. Okay, 14.1.
A little shorter.
Kelly, what were you saying? What was yours?
24 inch?
20, no, I thought it was 30. He went from 32 to 20.
I honestly, I think it's 14. That's like the 14.
That's like the standard,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
14.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. What'd you say, 14.1?
Wait, is it 14.1? What am I thinking? No, 13.8. 14.1 is like standard. That's a standard deluxe board. But I skate 13.8 because I like shorter.
Yeah, I think mine's 13.75 to be honest.
Wait a minute. So do you have to get special boards made for you, or
it's a shape that Julian Stranger made for Anti-Hero back in the day.
Okay.
But it's like they still kind of they'll make like one or two a year in Anti-Hero ones, but like my first board that was the Mark Gonzalez graphic was that shape, and then they still printed on it, and then some of my graphics will still be on that shape.
Nice.
But,
okay, so they do sell it, but
they sell it. Yeah,
gotcha.
It's a production shape.
Gotcha. Okay.
And this is something that you went from riding from Element to finding that shape, or you already rode that?
I found that at Element. I rode a tiny board. I rode 13.5, and it was tiny, like so short. I don't know. I was riding PS sticks, so it was totally different. Like wood shop, and just hard to find like something that I like.
What's the width? 825 still?
Yeah, 825.
Okay.
So just bumping that little bit of wheelbase up changed your whole shit.
Whole thing, yeah.
Some skaters have their stuff out for production. Some skaters just want to keep it all to themselves. But all in all, every skateboarder is different from the way they ride their boards. It went from individual stuff like painting your board and having weird grip tape and different color grip tape.
Whatever happened to pimping out their skateboards, bro, making their skateboards look fire? Like, remember, like it used to be like fire to have like colored trucks and like certain graphic grip tapes and all that shit. Like nowadays, like if you don't have your shit all black grip tape, silver trucks, plain colored wheels, like you're just flaming you, bro. Bro, it's weird. Bro, just like be normal, bro. Like it's corny. Like what happened like in 2000 and like 5 or some shit, 2010, where it was valid to have like a a camo grip tape, my
to having your truck size match your wheel size, match your board size, and then we can go.
Birdhouse is out of Baker Boys Up. Sometimes I'll have them throw some of my dad's graphics onto my shape that I skate and like get to skate like a birdhouse.
Oh, that's tight. Dope. Yeah. That is cool.
Andrew's like always obviously down, so.
Well, it's kind of like when Girl in Chocolate, you know? It's like when you skate girl boards, vice versa.
Sure.
You know, it's all
and that's what I always like growing up. I always thought that was the coolest thing when companies like got to do that, you know, whatever it was, like Hero Mystery, Girl Chocolate, Real Anti-Hero, like you're just like, damn, that's so cool. They all get to just skate whatever board that's in that distribution because it's all like a family.
So today I provided a couple clips from the 9 Club talking about different board setups, and I have a video also explaining what wheelbase is. Make sure you like and subscribe before we start the video. Let's bang this out of the freaking algorithm so they know that people want to see this stuff. And then we'll be getting in the trick soon, but let's get into the mechanics of the skateboard. Thank you for watching, and let's start the video.
Realized is that I never mentioned what wheelbase is or how it's measured. So wheelbase typically on cars would be center of wheel to center of wheel or axle. And we don't measure wheelbase on skateboards center of axle to center of axle because depending on what trucks you have, it changes it. So how we measure wheelbase on skateboards is from the center of these back bolts to the center of these bolts. So the holes on your board, inside to inside, the centers of them. That's how it's measured. So now that we know that, we can carry on to my videos in the garage about wheelbase. So the first subject I'm going to start with is decks specifically. I need to break this into 3 videos because it's a little bit dry and technical, and if you have a video that's longer than about 5 to 8 minutes, it's going to get really boring. So today is decks. So the first thing I did was I measured a whole lot of decks I have. Now, I'm talking specifically decks within the 31.5 to 32.25 length range. And so these are going to be your street type decks for doing technical tricks. My boards don't really go under 8 inches and they don't go above 8.5 inches. So it's a pretty specific range. If you're looking for a video on boards like long boards and all kinds of different boards, bowl boards where you get up to 33 inches in length, this isn't going to be the video. So moving on, we are going to talk about wheelbase, but in order to get into wheelbase, we also need to talk about some of the other dimensions. So I measured all the noses and tails on all of the decks I have, and they are all roughly, the nose is almost always 7 inches long from the end of the nose to the first bolts. The tail is almost always 6 3/4 long, so it's a 1/4 inch shorter from the tail to the bolts. And this is fairly uniform on almost every deck, with the exception of maybe 1/8 of an inch or so. Now, the other thing I also checked was the angle of all of the boards. So that's actually really hard to measure because it doesn't start abruptly. It doesn't just go flat, 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 angle, flat. So what you'll notice is there's actually a curve on the nose and tail of the deck. So you can't measure the angle exactly, but averaged out and on almost every single board, it was basically give or take.
Now, I know what you're thinking. If all boards are all the same, then why do people switch it up? Well, it's because of individualism. You see, people think they have their own flavor when they put their own stank on it. Meaning, if you have your own individual thing, it's like a special power. And it makes things just work better for you because the feng shui of everything aligned is easier for you to skate mentally. So that's why I think they say skateboarding is 90% mental and 10% physical. Well, I think they should bump that up to 20% physical and 80% mental, but that's a personal view. But be that as it may, or by and by, skateboarding in the whole is the same when it comes to the deck. Now, skaters like to put their own individual things on them. And I think some of the individual things they do kind of help or assist them in the way they skate, or they hinder them in the way they skate. But let's check out some of this 9 Club clips about board setups and it'll explain just a little bit more.
What's your board setup? What do we got? What do we got under the hood, man?
Oh, I thought I had it right here. I don't have it. It's in my car.
Oh, it's all good.
It is my taper tip shape. It's an 8-inch, which is Santa Cruz taper tip. It's kind of pointy. Like
what's the deal with the pointy tip?
I don't know. I just like it. When I first got on Santa Cruz, they had one of the first boxes I got was the regular 8-inch shape, and it was like an 8. This is how I describe it because it's what it felt like in my head. I don't know, but it was like an 8 at the like back, like right on the bolts.
Sure.
And then it felt like it like went like this. It felt like it was like an 8.2 at the top and like squared out nose. And I was like, I ended up getting used to them because that's like the only 8 they had at the time. Mm-hmm. But I was like, dude, I can't. Like, we need to switch this up. And then started working on a shape with them, and they sent me like a couple different ones. And this is the one I kind of like, I guess, picked in a way. It's just like taper tip. It's almost symmetrical. The tail's like a hair shorter, smaller, but yeah, it's just a pointy shape. I don't know. I just like it. 8-inch. Yeah.
So 8-inch.
Light.
So you got it. Just 8-inch. That's it.
It's 8-inch board. Yeah.
Okay.
Is it?
What kind of trucks?
Under 147 highs. I like to skate the titanium ones.
Okay.
But I don't think I got titanium ones on right now.
I didn't realize that they had titaniums. They're
like titanium lights.
So
but I think they were out of them or something when I asked last time. So that I just got like the regular 147 high lights right now.
Let's talk about your board setup. Let's talk about Chris Cole's board setup. We already know you've got an 8.5, but what else goes into that? Is there any madness? Do you need something a certain way? Let's break this down.
Yeah. Okay. So I flip flop, not anymore, but I used to flip flop between 8.3. I think it's like 8.349 and 8.5. And the zero, it's the same exact shape. Both of those sizes are the same shape from zero. But during like some of the Bullet Money Cups and stuff like that, I was skating 8.3, and it was just, I don't really know why, but now I keep it to 8.5, and I ride Thunder highs, 149s. Even though an 8.5 you could go to 151, I find the geometry for the 8.5 works better with a 149 than the 151s. I think if I went up to 8.6, I'd want to go 151s.
You need a little bit of that. What's it called?
It's a little smaller, right?
Yeah,
leverage.
smaller truck.
Yeah,
a little more leverage,
yeah.
Right?
But oddly enough, you would imagine that the wider your trucks get, the tighter they will feel, because your board, you just don't have the leverage, right? Like trying to turn a big bolt with a small wrench, you don't have the leverage. But if you have a big long wrench, you've got all this leverage.
True.
But for some reason, I can't, with my 8.5, I can't get the 151s tight enough.
Anytime somebody talks about leverage, I immediately just think of a tray flip. Because if the trucks are shorter, you're going to get that leverage.
Yeah.
You know, if they're wider, you're not. It's going to be harder to get around.
Really,
look at that tray flip. Yeah. Clunky.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I was going to say board. I did I forget what I was riding, but I had the wider trucks, and I was like, nope. All my flip tricks were just gone. Like it felt like they were gone.
Yeah.
You know, you definitely need that leverage.
You go down some stairs or some shit, it might help you.
Yeah, but still, I don't know. That's manualing might have helped.
Yeah,
I don't know.
No,
that's why I started riding a bigger board. When I was a kid, I was probably like seriously 14 or something like that. Maybe actually no, I was probably younger. I was probably like 12. I was skating 7.5s, and there was randomly the only board that I could get from the skate shop was this Think board, and it was 775, and it felt crazy, and it felt like it was so big, but I landed everything. And I was just landing more tricks on it, and I started having to skate bigger boards because when I would skate stairs, I'd catch it on my way up. I'd flip my board and I'd be catching it on my way up, and I'm like, I need to slow it down. And so I started skating wider boards to slow down my flips down stuff.
Interesting.
So, in a nutshell, when it comes to choosing your skateboards, make sure you use some critical thinking about the size of the board and the trucks. Indie trucks fit different, Aces fit different, Thunders fit different. All of the trucks fit different on it. But make sure the setup works for you and goes with your shoulder width in order for you to get the most enjoyment out of skateboarding. It's your boy, Make This Challenge. And I'm out of here. Make sure you like and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next video tomorrow.